For more than 200 years, our tradition of welcoming immigrants from around the world has given us a tremendous advantage over other nations. It's kept us youthful, dynamic, and entrepreneurial. It has shaped our character as a people with limitless possibilities. People not trapped by our past, but able to remake ourselves as we choose. But today, our immigration system is broken, and everybody knows it. Families who enter our country the right way and play by the rules watch others flout the rules. Business owners who offer their workers good wages and benefits see the competition exploit undocumented immigrants by paying them far less. All of us take offense to anyone who reaps the rewards of living in America without taking on the responsibilities of living in America. And undocumented immigrants who desperately want to embrace those responsibilities see little option but to remain in the shadows or risk their families being torn apart.
Okay, Mr. Torres, I'd like to ask some questions about immigration reform.
Go ahead.
First of all, what do you think about immigration reform?
It's a good idea.
Do you think there are any alternatives for it?
No.
If you were an undocumented immigrant, how would you feel about it?
Personally, I would feel great about it.
And do you like the idea of 11 million illegal immigrants being temporary citizens?
Yes.
And for immigration reform, should it stay being temporary citizenship for the immigrants, or should they change it to permanent citizenship?
It should be permanent.
And do you think this will encourage more immigrants to come to the United States?
Yes.
And if so, would you do the same if you were an illegal?
Yeah.
And do you have any undocumented family members who are illegal immigrants?
No, I do not. All my family has came from Spain, and the only immigrants was when they first came to the New World.
And why do you think the government didn't make it so the immigration reform was already in place of our immigration system?
Personally, I just think they didn't want no more people here.
And do you think immigration reform should be for those who deserve it, or anyone could be a citizen?
I believe it should be for those who deserve it, because there are people out there that intend to do harm to our own country.
Do you think our immigration reform is broken?
Right now, yes.
If so, do you know how?
Well, the immigration problem we have now is set up in a way like where they sneak in and then we can't find them to get them out. So pretty much they're already here. They're working. They make up a majority of our population already. So why not make them citizens? They're already here.
Okay. And do you think the government should strengthen our borders or keep going for immigration reform?
Immigration reform all the way, dude.
And if immigration reform doesn't fix the broken immigration system, then what will?
At that point, nothing will fix it.
And finally, do you think the immigration reform will benefit the economy and the American people?
Well, if the immigration reform goes through, the economy will get hit hard. But we'll get through it because we are Americans.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Torres, for your time.
No problem.
It was a pleasure.
Oh wait, but I got one more question for you, Mr. Cruz Torres. So if immigration reform does pass and 11 million immigrants are future citizens of America, temporary, who would this benefit?
It would benefit the illegals because then they get paid more.
And what disadvantage does this give to the American people or to businessmen or otherwise?
Well, I think that the only real disadvantage would be everybody gets a cut here and there. You know, our wages will get cut, but everybody becomes equal instead of having the illegals work for less than we already do.
And do you think like prices like in housing will go up due to the fact there'll be more people living?
Yes.
In a way?
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
No problem.
Okay, Mr. S. I'd like to ask some questions involving immigration reform.
Go ahead.
First of all, what do you think about immigration reform?
I think it's great.
Do you think there are any alternatives for it?
Honestly, no.
And if you were an undocumented immigrant, how would you feel about it?
I'd feel okay about it.
And do you like the idea of 11 million illegal immigrants being temporary citizens?
No, I do not like the idea.
And for immigration reform, should it stay being temporary citizenship for the immigrants, or should they change it to permanent citizenship?
They should change it to permanent.
Do you think this will encourage more immigrants to come to the United States?
Yes.
And if so, would you do the same if you were an illegal?
Yes, I would.
And do you have any undocumented family members who are illegal immigrants?
No, I do not.
And why do you think the government didn't make it where the immigration reform was our old immigration system?
Because they were probably afraid that one of them might hurt our country.
And do you think immigration reform should be for those who deserve it, or anyone could be a citizen?
Honestly, I think it should be kind of in between people who deserve it and whoever wants to, because there are some people who will hurt us.
Okay. And do you think our immigration reform is broken?
No,
Okay. Should we strengthen our borders or just keep going for the immigration reform?
keep going for the immigration reform.
If immigration reform doesn't fix the broken immigration system, then what will?
Honestly, I do not know.
And finally, do you think immigration reform will benefit the economy and the American people?
No, I do not, because then we'll be starting to pay more for oil, gas, our housing would go up, and there'd be more poverty.
Okay. And before we are done, the cameraman would like to speak with you.
Alright?
So, Mr. S, do you think that Obama is just doing this to get like extra publicity for his term?
Probably yes.
Like, in any way, like, does this gain an advantage to other companies around the whole world that does use illegal immigrants?
It kind of does, because then they get more money out of us if they charge more.
And do you think if since they do own those illegal immigrants, do you think they'll raise their wages or do they still keep them lower?
I think they would raise their wages.
Really?
Because since if we don't have more people here, we have more money. So they're going to charge more, and the more they get, they'll probably raise their wages to keep the immigrants working for them.
And why wouldn't it work the other way?
Because if they lowered their wages, the immigrants might quit and go back to their country. And then they would lose population and lose money that way.
Well, I see. Well, thank you.
No problem.